Hospitality is where we started, and we've transitioned into some other business ventures.
I just believe that I can always train for skill, but I can't train you to be nice.
And I kind of gave that up and decided to just go a different direction.
I don't care. You could be whatever you want to be.
And now, here's Just Sayin.
Hi, everyone, and welcome. My guest this week has spent a lifetime on Hudson Valley Radio and then suddenly found his career had changed. He's been in radio since the 70s, top-rated morning DJ at K104 and 93.3, Mix 97. And then in February of 2018, his life was turned upside down as he lost his job and has now changed careers, completely flipped everything over. And ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Mark Bolger. Hi, Mark. How you doing?
Hey, Charlie. It's become a habit of you and I to get together whenever I lose my job, and I'm starting to get a little tired of it.
Yeah. Well, last time we spoke, you just lost your job. Before the COVID thing, in between getting the job at Hudson Cadillac, and we'll get into that a little bit. You're out of work for a while. You're trying to find different things that you could do within the job that that you've been doing for forever. And, you got a couple of bites, things weren't working, but you were out there. I mean, you were networking and you were hustling. What were some of the things you were doing?
I was doing whatever I could to try and find a job. And, I found that a lot of it was online applications, which seemed to be kind of a black hole to me. I was fortunate that I had a lot of contacts in the area, so I never really felt down. Like I always felt like I had somebody I could talk to that had an encouraging word. I didn't have a job, but they had an encouraging word. I think that's important when you're out there looking to make sure you're tapping into those contacts and staying in communication with people. But the radio market has gotten very tight, and there just didn't seem to be a spot for me anywhere. Because quite frankly, once you've been fired by every radio company in town, it's hard to get back in again.
Well, it opened the door for another possibility, and that whole adage, the one door closes, another door opens. But you changed careers, and a lot of people these days are doing that. You started with something completely out of the ordinary. It doesn't have the same skill set that you had. So let's talk about Hudson Cadillac and selling cars.
Well, I was getting to the point where I was out of work for about 15 months. And I was at a Chamber of Commerce event one night, and I ran into Mike Mullaney, who's the owner of Hudson Cadillac Buick GMC. And he knew what had happened to me, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I'm still out looking for a job." And he said, "Well, come and talk to me." He goes, we'll just have a casual get-together. We'll talk about the car business. And And Mike has always been great with me, and my relationship with him goes back 25 years. After a few weeks, I saw in the ads that they were looking for a salesperson, and I said, if I don't call him, I could be sitting here for another 6 months looking for a job. So I called him, and we had a meeting, and we talked about it a little bit, and he said, "Well, I feel you can do this if you want to give it a try," and that's how it all worked out.
And how long did it take you to get the hang of it?
Oh, I haven't gotten the hang of it yet.
But you're selling cars.
I'm selling them. The thing that I don't think people understand is, there's a lot. I had no idea there was this much to the business. I mean, it's an extremely involved and dynamic business, really. Cars of today are really computers more than they are cars.
Yeah.
There's a lot of technology involved in it. None of it that I don't understand at this point. I mean, I get it now, but to walk into that, it was a whole different thing, and the learning curve was tremendous.
How long did it take you between the time you started working to the time you got your first sale?
Oh, it happened in the first week.
Oh.
Because even in the time of this crisis, people are still buying cars because when your car blows up on you, you got to get a car.
Right.
So, there's a certain amount of built-in business that's going to happen no matter what.
Do people come in and as you're talking to them, all of a sudden they go, wait a second, that voice sounds familiar?
Yeah, that happens just about almost on a daily basis, really.
Yeah.
It was actually kind of weird to me because I had no idea that many people would know who I was.
Yeah, well, I mean, listen, you've been in the area for so long, and on morning radio, those drives in the morning for people, you were kind of like the go-to guy for many radio listeners through the Hudson Valley. As a matter of fact, Jimmy Fallon, the host of The Tonight Show, used to listen to you when he was a kid in Saugerties. You were his go-to guy.
Yeah,
and he talked about you on one of the shows.
He talked about me, and then he tweeted about me one time early last year. He tweeted about how he used to call Mark Bolger all the time, and then that got retweeted by Mark Ronson, who's the songwriter and producer that did the song with Bruno Mars. And they both have, hundreds of millions of Twitter followers. So needless to say, my little flip phone blew up a couple times during those two episodes.
Yeah, well, let's we got that clip. So let's roll that. Let's take a look at it, and then when we come back on the other side, we'll talk about it.
I hope it's a good one.
What is this? I like this dude. What was he into? What was he? What did he like?
He wanted to be a radio announcer.
What what was your name? Would you be Johnny?
I wanted to be Johnny Be Good.
Johnny Be Good.
But some guy already took it. But he worked for the FM stations. But I was going to be more like this. We're coming up on 10 o'clock.
It's 3.
We got the Ronettes taking you to news time.
We got Herman's right here. We got some. We're giving away some tickets right now. Everyone's going to be showing up to us.
They're going to be at Kiel Auditorium next week.
We had my DJs growing up. We had the Bulge and the Wolf.
The Bulge?
Yeah, I think
they had those in front of their name.
Yeah, I think his name was like Mark Bulger, and he called
the
himself
Bulge.
The Bulge, yeah, and that was the
Any relation?
Oh, there's the Bulge. You hear like explosions, and it was great. Like,
So that's amazing. I mean, were you watching the show, or did you just hear about it from somebody?
I was not. I wasn't watching it. I actually, the first thing in the morning, I was still on the radio at that time, and I got a text from my oldest daughter saying, "Dad, Jimmy Fallon was talking about you last night." So, I got a number of texts and calls after that, as you would imagine, throughout the day.
Yeah, that must have been pretty cool.
It's weird to be mentioned on The Tonight Show, not only by Jimmy Fallon, but John Goodman, too, also.
Yeah, right. They made a little fun there. Do you have a go-to radio station or go-to guy now that you're out of radio? You listen to anything?
I haven't been listening to a lot of the radio. I mean, I'm sleeping through the entire morning show stuff now. I'm not at work, so. And I don't live far away from Hudson, Cadillac, so I do not spend very much time listening to the radio at all. So
is it conscious, or is it just that you just don't have the time?
Well, it's partly because I'm unconscious when I get up.
You got different hours now.
Yeah. I have more normal hours now.
Right.
As opposed to used to get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. Now I'm getting up at 7 with the rest of the world, shave, shower, dress, and on my way.
Yeah, I tell you, I got such an appreciation for you morning guys. I only had a little taste of it when I was doing news for HUD, and I had to do hits in the morning at 6, 7, and 8. And so to prepare for that, I had to get up like at 3 o'clock in the morning. And that was like every day. It was such a grind. And then, having my business, I was working until 11, 12 at night. And after a while, it was just like, oh man, I can't. This is horrible. I don't know how you guys do it.
See, that was your problem right there. You had a second job.
Yeah, right.
I'd go in and then I'd be done at 10 o'clock and I'd be napping for a few hours.
Yeah. But it's a great medium. Where do you see radio going in the future? There's so many things that are happening now. Radio stations are now becoming more more conscious of being a website that has a radio station. But I get it. I mean, you know, it's just more real estate for them to sell. But do you think that radio conventionally as we know it will stay, or will it get morphed into something else?
I think that's really up to radio and who's running the business. You know, without mentioning names, I feel like some of the players out there right now are running the business into the ground. But they got their own financial constraints that are prompting them to do what they're doing. I feel like a lot of it has been hurt by the fact that they get rid of the one thing that keeps them connected to their communities, and that's the on-air personnel.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not just saying that because they got rid of me, because I was getting fired when things were good. So
yeah, and that's the crazy part about it. You know, it wasn't like you did something wrong, or somebody said you did something wrong, or whatever. You had a good book and good numbers, and you were riding pretty high at that moment.
Yeah. You know, I mean, I always felt like I was a good employee. If I was somebody who owned a radio station, I'd want me on the team. But, you know, I don't know what people in those positions thought about me. Maybe it was just, all right, we're paying this guy too much and it's time to get rid of him, or, you know, he doesn't fit into our plan, and, you know, or just financially, we can't afford to run this anymore.
Yeah, I mean, I tend to go with that, you know, because sometimes finances forces you to do things that you don't want to do, or that, you know, you start to lose rationale because of it. So let me. I just got to go. I just got to go back to that for 1 second, because I want to paint a picture. Were you fired like before the shift, or after the shift, or by email, or what happened?
No, it was after the shift. Just you get called into an office, and when the door closes behind you, you just get that feeling. All right, how's this going to go?
Yeah. So you had no idea. You had no clue.
You know, the last time I got fired, I had a really weird feeling that morning when I was walking into the building. And I guess they tell you, pay attention to your gut, although I didn't have any other indications. But I just had this feeling like when I opened the door, I'm like, is this going to be the last time I walk in this door? I just had it. It just came. It was a weird thing that came over me.
Yeah, it's crappy no matter how it happens. But you're an inspiration for people who thought that whatever the job they had was their identity, and they couldn't do anything beyond that. But you're doing it, and you're doing it well. And Mike Mullaney, his son, those guys over there. Anytime I've walked in there, usually, you know, looking for a sponsorship or whatever, great group of guys. They just, you know, you just got a feeling that they weren't car salesmen.
I would like to speak to that just a little bit. And I don't have a lot of experience in the business, obviously. I'm still learning.
Yeah, right.
But, you know, I think that people, whatever happened with car salespeople way back in the day, is not really the case anymore, because everything's on the internet. You already know what you're getting into before you come into the dealership. So there's not any type of, we're going to get one over on this person, because they already know what's going on before they come in. Most of them do. You know what the cars are priced at.
Yeah.
And actually, you know, the dealers, they don't make a lot of money off a new car. There's not much markup in that. So
is that right?
There really isn't. No.
Where do you make your money then?
Well, they make it in sales. They make it in service. They make it in pre-owned vehicles. They make it in a lot of different ways. But it's not an enormous. It's not like you go in there and you buy a Cadillac and they made $40,000 off the sale.
So it's more it's volume.
It's volume. Yeah.
You got to sell a lot of cars. So how many cars do you sell?
I think I'm averaging probably around 8 to 9 cars a month, which is still beginner type stuff.
Really? 8 or 9 cars a month? I would think would be pretty good.
Well, it all depends on what you're selling.
Just from a productivity standpoint.
Well, I hope it's contributing. They haven't fired me yet, so.
Well, you know what the next call is going to be. You're going to come back on again. Well, hey,
Great.
Mark, it's always great to catch up with you. I'm sure listeners who have always held you in high regard and in their heart will enjoy this as well, to be able to see and hear you. So thanks so much for taking the time. And, hopefully now people that they know that you're at Hudson Cadillac, they're going to head over there and buy themselves some new cars or pre-owned cars because, hey, Jimmy Fallon made you a national item. And who wouldn't want to buy a car from a national item? Just saying.
That's nice. Just saying. That's nice of you to say. I'll be wearing my mask. So I don't know if you found this, but I find that if you wear the mask a lot, this facial hair right here grows a lot quicker. It must be the humidity or your breath coming back at you or whatever it is.
Or it could be that you're Italian and, you have a 5 o'clock shadow by 12. Anyway, hey, Mark, great catching up with you. Thanks a lot. And good luck. Say hi to your girls for us. And we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Charlie.
So that will do it for this edition of our Just Sayin podcast. Be sure to tune in next week when Jeffrey Dean Morgan of Walking Dead fame shares an emotional story that you won't want to miss. Just saying. Take care, everyone. Stay safe and be kind.
Thanks for tuning in to the Just Sayin podcast.